Welcome to the Breslov Parsha series. Today we're going to talk about next Sunday, which is Lag BaOmer. Right, Saturday night and Sunday is Lag BaOmer. We know that Lag BaOmer is a very, very celebrated holiday for the Jewish calendar. Why? Why did Lag BaOmer merit such attention? Well, Chazal tell us, the Gemara in Yevamos, Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students, and they were really good. Rabbi Akiva, the greatest Rebbe at the time, what Chazal says the greatest Tana, is compared to Moshe Rabbeinu, right? And he had 24,000 students. But because they did not respect each other, they all died in a 33-day period between Pesach and Shavuos. 33 days, that's the 33rd day of the Omer, Lag BaOmer. There are others who say that we memorialize those days from Rosh Chodesh Iyar until Shavuos, but either way, there's a 33-day period of mourning between Pesach and Shavuos that we mourn the loss of Rabbi Akiva's students. More so, we're mourning the loss of the ability of a Torah scholar, Rabbi Akiva's student, to fall into a pit of not respecting others. That's really the big loss of honor among Talmidim. Anyway, there's this 33-day period, and it ends on Lag BaOmer, at least for most people. And you have to ask yourself, what happened Lag BaOmer? And the answer is, the Beis Soshcha brings, that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai passed away on Lag BaOmer. Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, the author of the Kabbalah that we know of today. Reb Shimon was so great, when Rabbi Akiva was about to pass away, he said to Reb Shimon, it's Yerushalmi in Sanhedrin, says, it's enough for you to know that Hashem and I know how great you are. That was Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. The Arizal brings that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai reached the level of knowledge of Hashem as great as Moshe Rabbeinu attained when he went up to receive the second set of commandments from Hashem. First commandments were much higher, but even the second commandments, Moshe Rabbeinu got up to receive it, that's very high. And Reb Shimon Bar Yochai attained that level. So what is so great that we celebrate? Reb Shimon Bar Yochai passed away and we're celebrating? Is that what makes sense? Reb Nosson, in the Kuta Alochos, in Hilchos Herrscher Kelim, Aleph, I think it is, he mentions, and he asked that question, what is the reason for the celebration of Lag BaOmer if Reb Shimon Bar Yochai passed away? He was such a great tzaddik. Reb Nosson answers amazingly, amazing. He says, there's a pasuk in Yeshaya, HaTzadik Ovad, tzaddik is lost, Ve'ein ish som alev, nobody puts it on his heart to understand what's happening here, that tzaddik passed away. The Anshe Chesed ne'esofim b'me'ein mevin, and the people who do Chesed are gathered unto Hashem, ki mipnei hara nes havatzadik. Yeshaya answers, it's because there's going to come evil to the world, therefore these tzaddikim pass away. So it's even more reason for us to mourn Reb Shimon. Even more reason. What are we doing celebrating? With celebrations all over the world, right? Nosson answers that a tzaddik is very great. There are stories in Zohar where there were decrees against the Jews, and Reb Shimon stood up and said, I nullify this decree. I am saying this decree cannot hold. It cannot be, it cannot come into existence, and it's going to be only chesed. Anshe chesed, people who do chesed. That was Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Still, Reb Nosson explains that as long as the tzaddik is found in this world, we are limited. We're limited. Our body limits. We want to do a lot of things, but the physicality, the materialism that we're surrounded by puts a stop to it. You can only do so much. You cannot do much more that which you really feel that you want to accept, you want to get to. So what happens when Hashem is about to bring evil to the world? What he does was he gathers unto himself the souls of the tzaddikim. He gathers these tzaddikim, he takes them, he elevates them from a physical environment, and he brings them into a spiritual environment. Spiritual already has no bounds. Spiritual is beyond bounds. And therefore, the tzaddik, from where he is found now, can do much more to eradicate the degrees than he can while he's still clothed in a body. And that is the simcha of Lag BaOmer. Reb Shimon reached such a level, like Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. Reb Shimon was so great, so powerful, so magnificent in his ways, that he had to pass away because it was the Roman Empire that was ruling Israel at the time. The Gemara calls it a Dorah Shel Shmad, a generation of conversion, when the Jews were forced to convert. It was terrible times. So Reb Shimon was gathered to Hashem in order to help alleviate the suffering and to bring about salvation for Klal Yisrael. Today, as we see what's going on in Gaza, as we see what's happening with Hamas, with Hezbollah, right? Baruch Hashem, we can celebrate this Lag BaOmer with the death of Raisi, the president of Iran, who was called the Butcher of Tehran. We can celebrate. There's reason to celebrate, but there's not enough reason. We have to invoke the merit of Reb Shimon in order to have a full salvation. We have to work towards that. So with this coming Sunday, when we bench Hashem Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, Hod Shebahod, right? What we have to do is we have to ask Hashem, please, in the merit of Reb Shimon and all the other tzaddikim, right, who are up there now fighting on the behalf of the Jewish nation to save us, bring us salvation, bring the hostages back, protect the soldiers, protect Jews all over the world, because they're all subject now to many, many indignities and other sufferings, and worse, much worse. They beat up Jews, they throw them off buses. It's terrible what's going on. We have to invoke the merit of the tzaddikim, especially that of Reb Shimon bar Yochai, who could reach out and teach us greatest depths of Torah, greatest depths of Kabbalah. Reb Shimon can do it all. As the Gemara says, Kedayu Reb Shimon, Nismech Olav B'Shas Adchak. Reb Shimon's merit is so great that we can rely on him in times of pressure, in times of oppression. We can rely on Reb Shimon. That is the joy of Lag BaOmer. That is the celebration that Reb Shimon's power is now so great that he's going to work on behalf of all of us. And Yitzhak Hashem will all merit to do tshuva, will all merit to come back to Hashem, and will be able to see the coming of Mashiach, the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the ingathering of the exiles and the hostages. Amen v'amen. Thank you for watching these videos. I hope they help. I hope they contribute to whatever holiday that we're coming up with. We hope that you will tell others about these shiurim, and we hope that the word of Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nosson will spread all over the globe, and people will all return to Hashem, and will all be able to bask in the joys of the coming of Mashiach, building of the Beis Hamikdash, the ingathering of the exiles. Amen.